the Clinical Trials Unit in the new North Carolina Cancer Hospital. And this is really exciting new space for the treatment of patients who are on clinical trials of new anti-cancer therapies. We have a strong, growing group of investigators involved in new drug development. And this is the first time that we're going to have dedicated space to take care of patients who are participating in clinical trials of new anti-cancer drugs and therapies. Our program in drug development has actually doubled in size over the last 5 years, and this new space is going to really augment our ability to take care of patients who are participating in clinical trials of new drugs. One of the things I think that I like most about this space is that from every infusion chair you can actually see greenery and natural materials, and I think that's a really important piece of the healing environment that was taken into consideration when building the space. This space that you see here has space for 4 or 5 patients to sit in infusion chairs and be treated, or to have a bed for long infusions. There are 2 exam rooms, there's a nursing station, there's a triage room to assess how patients are handling the side effects of new therapies, and very important to the development of these drugs is the ability to process blood samples immediately after they're collected from patients. So most of these trials involve blood sampling on a regular basis to assess how the new drugs are affecting the body and how rapidly somebody's body clears that drug from their system. So for the first time here, we've got an adjacent processing lab to look at the important metabolites of the new drugs in a patient's bloodstream.
I'm most looking forward to having the pharmacology lab right next to the patient's bedside. We can have direct interaction with our patients to explain the trials, explain to them why we're doing what we're doing, and so that they're informed and know the whole gamut of what's going on. And so having this right next to the patient's bedside allows us a lot more interaction with the patients, can explain the studies, can go into depth and to handle any problems that may arise. Most of the anti-cancer agents or biomarkers that we work on are very unstable, meaning that they break down very rapidly once we take them from the patient. And so thus they need to be processed and stabilized very fast. And so having this lab right next to the patient's bedside gives us the resources to process the samples the ways that they're needed to be processed. Having the clinical trials unit and this lab right next to each other allows us access to recruit drugs into UNC that would otherwise not be here. So having these resources gives us some leverage to go to the pharmaceutical companies or other investigators and say, we have these great resources, bring your drugs in. It allows our investigators to then head up trials of these and then allows patients to get access to drugs which otherwise they would not have access to. Having this pharmacology lab here in the clinical trials unit and also the other pharmacologic resources we have in our other labs across the campus gives us global resources that will rival any cancer center in the country. And so putting all this together really puts us ahead of having the required infrastructure that is needed to develop anti-cancer drugs.